Well, good afternoon. I am Earl Weener, a member of the National Transportation Safety Board. Today was our first full day on scene. We've received excellent cooperation from the Seattle Police Department and especially the Emergency Operations Center, the EOC. Our investigative actions started this morning about 7 a.m. with the various groups beginning their activities. I had an opportunity to go to the facility where the motorcoach and the DUK are being stored. Also had a chance to tour the Aurora Bridge by vehicle. I've been receiving updates from our on-scene investigative groups, and I can now share the following information. The Vehicle Factors Group has begun an examination of the vehicles involved in the crash, which include 4 vehicles, a 1945 DUKW amphibious vehicle known as a DUK, which was refurbished in 2005 with a General Motors chassis and engine. Second vehicle is a 2009 MCI J4500 motorcoach, and then 2 passenger vehicles, a 2011 Dodge Ram 2500 pickup truck and a 2006 Toyota Highlander SUV. Earlier today, the Seattle Police and Fire Departments worked with the NTSB investigators to shore up the vehicles and to stabilize them in order to allow full access to all relevant components and systems. The initial investigation has revealed damage to the left front axle of the DUK boat. The component in question and the relevant surrounding components will be sent back to NTSB headquarters, the laboratory, for further examination. The Vehicle Factors Group will continue examining the vehicles and reviewing their maintenance records. The next group, the Survival Factors Group, has begun a lengthy process of interviewing first responders and will begin passenger interviews tomorrow. These interviews will be used in part to assist in determining where passengers were seated, the Survival Factors Group will also gather dispatch and 9/11 records. The Vehicle Recorders Group is working to extract the motor coach's ECM, that's electronic control module for the engine, which may contain information related to the vehicle operation. They will also continue to work on other relevant data recordings. The Human Performance Group began reviewing the commercial driver's license. They've documented the DUK driver's Coast Guard license as well, and they have collected the CDL medical forms for both drivers and begun the process of examining their medical histories. They've begun to document the bus driver's work schedule in the days before the crash and will work to establish a 72-hour history pre-crash for both drivers. The licenses and driver qualification files for both drivers will also be reviewed by the Motor Carrier Group. As mentioned, we've taken a preliminary look at the bridge, and our highway group investigator will work with DOT to gather documentation regarding the bridge design and roadway evidence. The NTSB works in what we call a party system, in which the NTSB designates individuals from organizations or corporations as parties to the investigation. At this time, the parties to this investigation include the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, FMCSA, the Seattle Police Department, and Ride the Ducks International, the manufacturer of the DUK. The NTSB will continue to work with the Seattle Police Department, Seattle Fire Department, vehicle manufacturers, vehicle operators, and other involved parties to determine what happened and why it happened. We remain very interested in speaking with any witnesses to any portion of the event or who have information relevant to this investigation. We also welcome any photographs or video of this event. The Seattle Police Department has set up a hotline. If you have information or were a witness, please contact the police department or call the hotline at 206-233-5000. That number again, 206-233-5000. For future updates, including media briefings, please follow us on Twitter or on our website. Our Twitter handle is @NTSB, and our website is ntsb.gov. There are members of the public affairs staff on scene with me today. Please make sure to provide them with your business card so that we can add you to our distribution list. And with that, I'll be happy to take a few questions.
Can you please elaborate more on the damage to the axle of the boat?
You want more information about the axle of the boat. The left front axle was sheared off. For what reason yet, we don't know. We do plan to take that along with other parts of the front axle and front drive mechanism, send it back to our laboratories in Seattle where we can really understand the fracture characteristics.
Any way to know if that was sheared off before impact yet?
We don't know that for certain, so that, that kind of sequence we will try to understand better.
Is there anything, based on some of the witnesses we've spoken with, who talked about the duck boat veering back and forth, they thought maybe the wheel had locked up. Anything that you've seen, is that consistent with what we're hearing from some of the witnesses?
That's generally consistent with what we think we are seeing in the duck boat. Bear in mind, we've just been able to basically have a half a day to examine it. It took the fire department and the police department about half a day to get it shored up to the point where we could actually work on or underneath the duck boat. We've not had yet the same kind of opportunity to work on the motor coach to get the systems and recorders off of it that we hope to find.
Are you relating this in any way to a possible cause of this incident?
It's way too early to say anything about a probable cause. We're just gathering evidence at this time, gathering factual data. So we'll be on scene 7 to 10 days to do that. Then that fact gathering shifts to headquarters. And after all of the factual data is gathered, we still have analysis and so forth to do.
Can you explain what kind of factors might cause a front axle to be sheared off? Would that be some kind of catastrophic failure, or is that something that could be prevented somehow? I mean, I don't really understand what that means, and many of our viewers probably also don't for a duck boat.
Well, frankly, looking at the parts, it was sheared off in a torque, but beyond that, it's hard to say why that happened. What was the mechanism that caused that to shear? And we don't have that kind of understanding at this point. Bear in mind, this is our second day on scene, so we've got a lot of work to do yet.
You guys had some photos about some of your investigators looking at the tire. I'm assuming, I just want to ask, one, is that the same tire axle combination that you're talking about? And what were they sort of doing in that process of examining it?
Looking at the left front tire on the duck.
Right. It was on the ground. There could sort of taking a close look at that one tire.
Well, basically trying to understand what it is that might have caused it, but more to the point, what do we have to do to get a better understanding? And at this point in time, that better understanding is probably going to come from an extensive evaluation back in the laboratory. So we plan to basically crate up appropriate pieces and send them back to Washington.
We had heard from some witnesses that they saw a red fluid from the front of the duck boat. We saw a little bit of that in some of those pictures from the first day. Have you guys seen that or heard of that?
There were spatters of red fluid around the wheel well. Now, the significance of that, we're still working on understanding more thoroughly.
So you don't know where that fluid came from?
It probably came from within the transmission, but that still is yet to be determined. That's just the proximity of it. It would indicate that.
Can you elaborate at all on what your team concluded or is looking into about the safety of the bridge and the traffic patterns there?
Well, at this point, we've not really had a chance to take a close look at the bridge. We have a highway factors investigator that will be arriving shortly. He'll take a closer look at it. We have not yet determined whether we need to be on the bridge pavement itself.
Have you talked to the drivers at this point?
We have not yet talked to the drivers, but we intend to do that. We are starting interviews. Hopefully by this time, we have actually completed some interviews.
Is there any process the duck boat company will have to go through before they can operate again?
Our investigation is strictly a safety investigation, so the regulatory authorities' decision to allow or to disallow the duck boat to operate are beyond our authority.
Have you already gotten the records from the duck boat as far as inspections for this particular vehicle?
We have not gotten the records yet. We're in the process of gathering them.
So you don't know when the last time somebody looked at that axle, for instance?
We don't have that in a hard copy at this point.
Last question?
There were some investigators at the duck boat's maintenance facility yesterday. What information did they gather there?
I don't have personal understanding of what that information is. You know, at this point in the investigation, part of it is just to have a conversation about the process of what's going to happen. What kind of information are we going to need? What are we going to ask for? What are our expectations? What kind of detail we need? So, in terms of actually gathering information, the duck boat manufacturer has cooperated and will be part of our party system, and we will be able to get a much better understanding of the particular characteristics of that very unique vehicle. With that, I thank you very much.